Just ahead on CTV News. A look into U.S. Senate candidate Angela Alsobrooks' tax records reveals shocking information. Plus,
BWI Airport leads the pack in the DMV as they scored the highest in the region in an airport satisfaction survey. I'm Bryce Parker. We'll have more coming up on CTV News.
And a local community gem is helping to shape the Route 1 corridor. Those stories and more on CTV News, starting now.
Good evening, this is CTV News for September 23rd. I'm Michaela Newton.
And I'm Mariah Jalad. Thanks for joining us. Well, a review of property records and tax bills by CNN shows the Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate in Maryland improperly took advantage of tax breaks she did not qualify for. The review shows Angela Alsobrooks took advantage of tax breaks, including one for low-income senior citizens, saving her thousands of dollars in taxes on 2 properties she owned in D.C. and Maryland. According to CNN, Alsobrooks claimed a senior citizen's tax break on her D.C. home that was previously owned by her grandparents. She also took advantage of a homestead tax exemption on a Maryland property she did not qualify for. The campaign says Alsobrooks was unaware of the problem and that her attorneys are working to resolve the issue. In response, Larry Hogan's campaign released a statement saying, in part, she claims to be unaware of tax laws it was her job to enforce.
Well, as Election Day gets closer and closer, it's not any more clear which parties will control the Senate and the House. According to Maryland Matters, recent reports tilt in favor of Republicans having control of the Senate, though it will be a near even split with either party in control. The same goes for the House, with competitive races in the 7 swing states and others across the country. Maryland Senate race is proving to be harder to predict than past years, but Democrat Angela Alsobrooks is still polling 7 points ahead of her opponent, Larry Hogan.
And September is National Preparedness Month, and FEMA is urging all Americans to take steps to be ready for emergencies. This year's theme focuses on making preparedness accessible to all, with an emphasis on community outreach and resources for vulnerable populations. FEMA encourages everyone to start simple, whether it's making an emergency plan with your family, learning about local risks like storms and floods, or assembling a disaster supply kit.
National Preparedness Month is a great opportunity to bring focus back into why it's important to be prepared. So it's important to be prepared all year long, but there's no denying that we can get really busy with just the hustle and bustle of life and things that are going on in our day-to-day. So we have National Preparedness Month as this opportunity to bring focus back in of encouraging individuals and community members to be prepared for disasters in their area by knowing your risk, by building kits, by taking these preventative measures to be prepared in ways that will help them mitigate the struggles and the pitfalls that can come with natural disasters.
For more information on how to get prepared year-round, visit ready.gov.
And police are investigating after a gun was brought into Elinocoa Middle School in Landover Hills today. Around 12:45, PGPD was notified that a Prince George's School security personnel recovered the gun from a 13-year-old male student's book bag. The student also had ammunition, but he's now in custody and will be charged with multiple offenses. We'll keep you updated as this story develops. And the Maryland Attorney General's office is investigating a deadly police shooting that occurred Saturday evening in Wheaton. Officers responded to reports of an assault on Janet Road around 7:45 p.m. and encountered a man who was believed to be armed with a knife. The man approached officers despite repeated commands to drop the weapon. Now, as the suspect crossed the street, an officer opened fire, resulting in the man's death at the scene. Now, investigators later recovered a grill fork near his body, but didn't find a knife. The officer involved has been placed on administrative leave.
And we now have an update in the fatal shooting that took place in Largo on Friday. Officers arrived at the 1000 block of Largo Center Drive Friday afternoon. There they found 27-year-old Craig Rogers II in the roadway, suffering from gunshot wounds. He was later pronounced dead on the scene. Investigators are working to determine a motive and identify suspects at this time. Anyone with any information on this case is asked to call 301-516-2512. And tens of thousands of Marylanders will have to switch their health care plans after the state's health department drops Kaiser Permanente. Kaiser will no longer be one of Maryland's managed care organizations for Medicaid next year. The Department of Health decided not to renew its contract with Kaiser for undisclosed reasons. The change will particularly affect people in Prince George's and Montgomery counties, where Kaiser Permanente has the biggest footprint. A department official says they are working to seamlessly transition those patients to other plans.
Well, before September comes to an end, Americans will soon be able to order free COVID-19 take-home tests. U.S. households will be able to order up to 4 nasal swab tests. This batch of tests will be able to detect current COVID-19 variants and can be used until the end of the year. The U.S. Health and Human Services Agency has not yet given an exact date for when ordering can begin, but for more information, you can visit covidtests.gov. And if you ever find yourself taking the drive to BWI Airport because you prefer it over the other airports in the area, well, you're not alone. According to J.D. Power, BWI is the top-ranking airport in the DMV. CTV's Bryce Parker has more.
3 of the region's major airports scored on the J.D. Power North American Airport Satisfaction Survey. And right now we are inside of BWI Airport, who had the highest score in the region, ranking 14th in the large airport category. The overall customer satisfaction index ranking has a maximum scale of 1,000 points. BWI scored 641 points. Reagan National came in at 633 points, while Dulles International scored 611 points. The highest score in the large airport category came from John Wayne Airport, who had 687 points. This has been a record-setting travel season, with TSA screening more customers than ever. But with the added airport traffic, customers are still enjoying their airport experience. Some of the categories where airports could have gained or lost points included level of trust, airport staff, and terminal facilities. And according to J.D. Power, BWI Airport leads the pack in the DMV. Reporting from BWI, I'm Bryce Parker, CTV News.
All right, Bryce, thanks so much. And airports were ranked in 3 categories: medium, large, and mega. Your time now is 4:37. You're watching CTV News. I'm Michaela Newton.
And I'm Mariah Gillad. Still to come, U.S. News and World recently ranked the top 20 charter elementary schools in the state.
That's right. Find out which schools made the list and how they earned right after the break.
Several charter schools in Prince George's receive an impressive ranking. I'm Katara Jones. I'll tell you all about it coming up on CTV News.
The bravest person I know is definitely my dad, 100%.
My friend Sean.
My daughter Cynthia, and she was in the United States Army.
One of the bravest things he ever did wasn't when he first enlisted, it was when he found his first support group.
Our journey has not been easy.
One of the bravest things he did was when he asked to move in with me and my mom.
I felt like I was lost, and you gave me a place to stay.
When he decided he was going to go back to school after 23 years.
It was the better part of my life that I spent in the Marine Corps. Transitioning out, it's a difficult thing.
She went on foreign soil. She went to war. But the bravest thing she did is when she asked for help.
So I really appreciate it.
Welcome back. Making regional transit run more smoothly is a goal of DMV Moves. The panel is tasked with developing a unified vision aimed at delivering a more efficient, reliable, and seamless experience for transit users in the DMV. The group, made up of elected and appointed leaders from across the region, including Prince George's County, convened its second meeting today.
This group is brought together with WMATA at its core to try to figure out how we are able to achieve a world-class transportation system for our region going forward. And that's what this is all about, is to be able to make sure that that happens. I'm still sort of setting the groundwork for what we think is going to be that future vision of what the system should look like. We also established some non-financial things to be recommendations to look at going forward, including how we manage our variety of different systems that we have, transit systems across this entire region. And then we started the conversation about how do we pay for those things going forward.
And the task force's next meeting is set for November.
Well, Maryland school officials have 10 days to use or lose $780 million in federal funding. The money is part of nearly $2 billion Maryland received in pandemic relief funds for schools from the American Rescue Plan's Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Program. According to Maryland Matters, as of last week, the state has spent 60% of the allocated amount. It has until September 30th to report how Maryland will commit to draw down on the remaining funds, which must be liquidated by January 28th of 2025. States can also request an extension until March of 2026.
And the College Park City Council is considering funding a new tutoring program at one of the city's elementary schools to help students get back on track with reading. According to the Diamondback, the city's Education Advisory Committee recommended the council pay $40,000 to use a company called Amplify Tutoring at Hollywood Elementary School. School officials said the program would be especially impactful at Hollywood, which has more than 200 English as a second language students.
The Wall Street Journal and College Pulse have included 7 Maryland colleges in their 500 best colleges in the U.S. Congratulations to Loyola University Maryland, Towson, Johns Hopkins, UMD College Park, McDaniel College, Westminster, UMD Baltimore County, and Salisbury University for making the list. The rankings were based on metrics like the university's ability to set up students for post-grad financial success and overall student satisfaction.
And 4 public charter elementary schools in Prince George's receive a coveted rating. The U.S. News & World Report ranked all 4 Imagine schools in the Mid-Atlantic region in the top 20 of the best charter elementary schools in Maryland.
CTV's Katira Jones is at one of those schools in Upper Marlboro with more.
Administrators and educators here at Imagine Foundations at Leland are really excited as this school was recently ranked number 10 on the list of the best charter elementary schools in Maryland.
That ranking just allows us to understand that we're doing a really great job with meeting the needs of our scholars.
The U.S. News & World Report shows that all 4 schools under the Imagine Schools Mid-Atlantic region ranked in the top 20 of best charter elementary schools in Maryland. This school, Imagine Foundations at Leland in Upper Marlboro, grabbed the 10th spot.
We are providing that high quality education every single day for our scholars. So this is why it's so meaningful to us. It allows us to, again, remain academically competitive. It remains us to continue to converse with, educators across the country to ensure that we are capturing those best practices and then putting them into play right here in our schools.
All schools representing the Mid-Atlantic region are located in Prince George's and all made it into the top 20, with the Lincoln School in Temple Hills nabbing the 13th spot. The Andrews School, located on Joint Base Andrews, snagging the 15th spot, and the Morningside School getting the 20th spot.
Parents, as I am a parent myself, we want the best for our children, and we always are looking for an alternative that is a better fit for our children, for a particular style of learning, a particular way that they are taught. And I think that Imagine Schools offers that alternative.
Imagine Foundations at Leland caters to students in kindergarten through 8th grade and has close to 500 students. CTV News chatted with Principal Sherry Lynn Reed-Williams, who started as a teacher, then worked her way to assistant principal and now principal of the school.
Definitely say not everyone gets to, have that perspective of change. I think it's very helpful as a classroom teacher. There were always things that I wish I could have had to ensure that students did well. So now that I'm in this role, I can my teacher hat is always in my head of what's the best situation for teachers. But I have been able to see students from kindergarten all the way to 8th grade. I've been able to see classroom teachers transition from maybe first year non-certified teachers to now being certified and, like kings and queens of their craft.
School officials say all the Imagine schools in the Mid-Atlantic region have a waiting list. This school, Imagine Foundations at Leland, has about 1,000 kids on the waiting list. Katara Jones, CTV News.
All right, Katira, thanks so much for that report. Well, Tuller says at the Imagine Foundations at Andrews School, the students outperformed the average of the state of Maryland on the MCAP assessment in math, social studies, and science. Officials also say there are more than 1,000 students enrolled in the Imagine schools representing the Mid-Atlantic region. And still to come on CTV News, did you know today is Car-Free Day?
After the break, we speak to the Director of Commuter Connections on the benefits of skipping a drive or two. Back in a moment.
There are places in this world where hope is a rare and precious gift. But in those places, there exist ships of mercy, driven by the hearts and hands of volunteers who believe in something bigger than themselves. Volunteers from all corners of the earth, united by a common belief that every act of kindness ripples through humanity, leaving a wake of hope and healing. Working together, they've found their purpose, serving those with the greatest need. Amidst the tears and triumphs, the setbacks and successes, they press on, witnessing the extraordinary power of the human spirit and discovering what it means to give their all, because they know that serving others is love's greatest gift. To see how you can change lives, visit mercyships.org today.
Well, Maryland officials are looking for more and more ways to help the state meet its clean energy goals, and nuclear energy is becoming a bigger factor in that plan. Though some might believe nuclear energy's reputation for being dangerous, nearly half of the energy produced by the state comes from one nuclear power plant in Calvert County. More than 80% of the clean energy in the state comes from that plant, all carbon-free. Climate legislation in the state requires 100% clean energy by 2035 and zero carbon emissions by 2045. And today is Car-Free Day, a day where people pledge and are encouraged to get around without driving alone. Whether it's trains, buses, bicycling, or carpooling, those throughout the Metro D.C. region have many options.
And we spoke to Daniel Sheehan, Director of Commuter Connections, on how Car-Free Day benefits both commuters and the environment.
We know that it's very easy to drive around this region. We have great infrastructure for driving, but we also have great infrastructure for taking transit, biking, walking, etc. And the hope is to encourage people to try and do that just once on one day to try it out. And if they like it, if it works for them, the hope is that they can continue doing that periodically, sporadically throughout the rest of the fall season or beyond. So Car-Free Day serves as kind of that entry level to trying to go car-free just for a day. And then beyond that, if it, like I said, if it works out well, then if they change their behavior and start traveling sustainably more frequently, it does help reduce the region's carbon footprint and improve air quality throughout the region.
This year, over 3,500 people took the online pledge to be car-free. But for more information on upcoming car-free days or to find a carpool near you, make sure you visit carfreemetrodc.org.
And Metro is looking for a development partner to build a mixed-use project at the Capitol Heights station. Metro's goal for the project is a 600,000 square foot facility on the property of the Blue Line station. This is not the first time Metro has solicited a partner for their Capitol Heights location. In 2014, Donatelli Development was contracted to create 184 apartments and an 18,000 square foot retail site, but the project did not pan out. Developers request for qualification documents, which are due December 13th.
And Sunday officially kicked off fall, but if you're hoping to see some vibrant autumn colors this season, Maryland might not be your best bet. According to the state's 2024 fall foliage preview, many of the state's trees are changing color earlier than usual according to drought. Marylanders should expect to see more yellow and gold tones and fewer reds and purples. And a North Brentwood art studio is teaching residents along the Route 1 corridor to create a diverse range of clay pieces, from elegant dinnerware to striking sculptures. I took a little pottery class this morning and got my hands dirty. Take a look.
When I step into the studio, I feel like I'm stepping into another dimension almost, where everyone has the opportunity to be creative, each in their own way.
Nestled on Rhode Island Avenue, Material Things is your go-to local pottery studio, transforming the Route 1 corridor into a vibrant hub of creativity.
So I've been taking classes at Material Things for about a year and a half or so.
Since 2021, they've been empowering residents with hands-on classes in hand building, where you can craft everything from beautiful dinnerware to stunning sculptures.
You go to the wheel with a piece of clay and you kind of center the mass, so get it all even. And it's just like anytime you're using a tool, the tool does one thing, it turns it in a circle. So you're working with that rotational motion, and then there's kind of the physics of the clay and the way that it moves. And so you're really just working with the clay and with the rotational motion.
Francisco Rosario has been sculpting for about 25 years.
I have some work at a place called Reverie. Johnny Spiro, he has a couple of restaurants. So I have some work in his space.
Francisco, along with the other co-owners at Material Things, has partnerships with several restaurants in the area. Last summer, the studio expanded into a new space next door. This exciting change has allowed them to double their class offerings.
So we drove this corridor quite often, and one day a for sale sign just kind of came up on the space, and so we came and talked to the people that owned it, and it just felt fortuitous, the perfect what we were looking for.
And they hope to expand by hosting even more events for the community. And if you're interested in taking a class, their next 8-week class session begins November 14th. All right, guys, so I had so much fun doing that this morning, but it's a lot harder than you think, right?
Yeah,
so
I'm surprised. It looks like you were taking really well to it from what we saw. Did you make anything special?
So I did make the bowl, but it turned out to be a plate at the end. So it was okay. It was my first time doing that, though, but it was fun. All right, well, Simon Bucks is here with a preview of Monday's Sports Page.
Yeah, what do we got? So I know the Commanders are taking the field tonight, right?
They are, and I'll also have some exciting highlights from the world of college football. Stay right there, sports fans. I have some great highlights from my alma mater, Bowie State, and the UMD football team's college matchup against Villanova. Stay right there.
The freedom to live in safety. That's an American dream.
All right, sports fans, the time has finally come, your Monday Sports Page. We begin with some college football news. It was an exciting weekend for Terps fans as the football team matched up against Villanova for their 4th game of the season this past Saturday. In the first quarter, the Terps got the ball first and fed running back Roman Hemby as he had multiple runs for big gains like this one here for 12 yards. And the Terps capped off their first drive of the game with a touchdown pass like this 18-yard completion by Billy Edwards to receiver Caden Prather. And after a 3-and-out by Villanova, the Terps offense picked right back up where they left off as Billy Edwards was dotting up that Nova defense with some passes like this 12-yard completion to his favorite target, Ty Felton. They got the Terps to the 6-yard line. And the team got another tub, this time courtesy of Hemby, who ran it in for 6 yards to go up 14-0 on the Wildcats. Maryland will kick a field goal later on and be up 17-0 on Villanova after the first quarter. In the second quarter, Maryland's offense continued to make plays like this 19-yard pass caught by tight end Preston Howard. And the Terps continue to do a nice job toting the rock as they got another rushing touchdown as running back Nolan Ray ran it in 1 yard for a Terps TD. And Maryland went into halftime up 24-0 on Villanova. And in the end, Maryland will hang on to beat Villanova 38-20. This is Maryland's second straight win, and they'll face off next against Indiana on Saturday at noon. Later on that day in Bowie, the Bowie State football team took the field against Livingstone College. In the first quarter, the Bulldogs were able to get on the board first as plays like this nice run for 13 yards by running back Curtis Murray and this pass completion by QB Kevin Taylor to receiver Antoine Banks for another 17 yards allowed the Bulldogs to get into field goal position, and Bowie was up 3-0 on Livingstone. And later in the quarter, the Bulldogs defense came through as linebacker Mekhi Williams picked the ball off to get his team back on offense. And Bowie's offense made sure to punch one in this time around as Banks broke some ankles on his way to scoring a Bulldogs touchdown, making the score 10-0 heading into the second quarter. That Bulldog defense continued to make plays in the second quarter as the team had another pick, this one caught by defensive back Jordan Williams. And Bowie took advantage of the great field position as they were able to score the second touchdown of the afternoon as Taylor showed off his legs and ran the ball in for a 4-yard score. And BSU went into halftime up 17-0 on the Blue Bears. But Livingstone's offense started to wake up in the third quarter as these two runs helped the Blue Bears tie the game at 17-all. But in the fourth and final quarter, Bowie's offense put some distance between them and Livingstone again as they scored 2 more touchdowns. And they were able to come away with the dub, winning their first game of the season 31-17. The Bulldogs will match up next against Winston-Salem State on Saturday. That's what I'm talking about, Bowie. I knew y'all had it in you to get the win. Moving on to the NFL, the Baltimore Ravens were in action yesterday as they matched up against the Dallas Cowboys. And the Ravens will be coming back to Maryland with the win as they took down Dallas 28-25. A big reason for the Ravens getting their first win of the year was because of running back Derrick Henry, who had 151 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. And Henry spoke after the game about why he was able to have such a monster game.
The offensive line allowed that to happen. They came out with a mindset of, moving guys off the line of scrimmage, being physical, and playing the Ravens style of football. And I think they did a great job of that today. So for me to have success, I told them before the game, I said, when y'all go, I'll go. So, we all tied in together. So hats off to the offensive line, Ronnie, Andrew, Tyler, Daniel, and Pat. And, those guys did a great job. So hats off to them for them to do my job, even fullback, Pat Ricard, receivers, even tight ends, man. I appreciate all of them. So they made my job easier today for sure.
Henry and the rest of the team will take the field next against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills on Sunday. And wrapping up sports, it will be a battle of 2 former Heisman Trophy winners tonight as Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders will be in Cincinnati matching up against Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Let's go Washington. Let's try to make it 2 straight wins. Kickoff is at 8:15.
All right, thank you, Simon. So what were the keys for the Ravens to win over my Dallas Cowboys yesterday? Even though they almost came back at the end. I just want to say that.
Well, first we'll start off with obviously running the ball. They're a run-first team, and because the Cowboys have such a poor run defense, they were definitely able to exploit that yesterday. And also I think the Ravens defense also did a good job of shutting down CeeDee Lamb as well. He had a very quiet game, which made it difficult to for the Dallas Cowboys offense to really get back in the game. But like you said, the Dallas Cowboys did almost complete that comeback, but it was a good game. I'm glad the Ravens were able to get that first dub yesterday.
All right, thank you. Now let's get a look at our 3-day weather forecast. Keep those rain boots and umbrellas handy. We'll have scattered showers tonight throughout the region. Tomorrow, more rain is expected, and we're looking at a high of 70.
Wednesday, it'll be 74 degrees. Thunder is expected. Thursday, we finally get a dry day. It's going to be mostly cloudy with a high of 81 and a low of 66.
And for our community calendar, this Wednesday, the Prince George's Film Festival will be having a free Community Day screening of the game that changed college basketball.
The documentary revisits the historic 1974 ACC championship game between North Carolina State and Maryland and its ultimate impact on college basketball. The movie starts at 6 p.m. at the Greenbelt Center, but for more information or to reserve a spot, visit eventbrite.com and search The Game That Changed College Basketball.
And that wraps up CTV News for now. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow.
You have a good night. See you tomorrow.